I told you we were getting back to work on the mullet. Now let me take you around and show you exactly what's going on. Now, the reason I'm pulling it apart, which I really didn't want to do, but it is what it is, man, is this fender, even though it don't look bad, it's foobarred. Alright, I think they might have lost a wheel once upon a time. I really don't know. Or they ran over something pretty significant. You can see down here where this is, it's bent up. You know what I mean? So I'm hoping it didn't do anything back here. I'm really hoping it didn't do anything back there. I don't know. If so, we're gonna have to figure that out. But when it hit here, kind of push this out and up, and you can see right here it's about a 1/4 inch up this way, and it bows out right here. There's a lip, even with the door completely closed. So I could probably pull it off and straighten it. Why? I mean, if I got to pull it off to fix it, I can get the fenders for about 50-75 bucks a piece. You know what I mean? OEMs used. But good shape, straight, ready to go. You know what I mean? And I'd rather do that than spend days messing with these, to be honest. I might tinker with them once they're off, but I doubt. And not only did it bend up there, this piece here, you really can't tell just by looking at it, but when the whole thing was together, you could see it when you're up under the vehicle. This right here is bent that way. That's why there was a gap in this lower molding. And FYI, there's about 25-30 bolts holding that lower molding on. Not the nose, just that lower molding that runs from here around the bottom of the nose and back to the other side. Now, with that being said, the last 3 bolts, that one goes here, one goes here, and then one goes actually through the nose up here. It's these little bar things, okay? I soaked these things about 4 times throughout, well, 4 or 5 times throughout 2 days. I used PB Blaster, plus I used my acetone transmix, and I broke off every last one except one, man. So I looked these things up online, and it's like a piece of corrugated metal. It's got a little rigidity bend on each end, and it's got the 3 studs in it on each piece. To replace these things are 60 bucks for a pair. I am not paying $60 for a piece of sheet metal and 3 bolts. Just ain't doing it. So I'll get these studs out of here, and we'll get some flathead bolts, put them back through there, and boom, we're good. You don't see them. I mean, when the car's together, you do not see those. They sit up under the back lip of the fender, and you could actually take a sheet of thicker piece of sheet metal and run it through here and do the exact same thing because you don't see it. So that's what we're going to do with these. We're going to clean these up. Now, this lower valance, these 2 pieces, okay? You got your Z28 or IROC or RS, whatever emblems they put here. They're held on by 2 pegs and a little bit of sticky. All right, all you got to do is get either a very thin screwdriver or a molding tool and get in there, and you slowly work those out. Take your time, don't crack it, but it'll come right out. You've got 2 screws underneath here to hold this on here. You've got a bunch of screws on the threshold, and then, if I'm not mistaken, they're 5/16 bolts that run trying to get a good angle, and I can't. That run down the bottom side of this, okay? And then you got to pull these panels on each side. That side and that side over there. You got to pull this whole panel because you have a bolt that goes through right here. Alright, and then you open this up. You got to pull these door panels completely off. You got 5 bolts that hold this piece here on. You have this one here, you got one on the opposite corner, and you got 3 inside the door, if I'm not mistaken. Might be 4, don't quote me on that. But you got to pull all this apart to get this outer piece off. And I'll tell you, I didn't realize it until I started working on this thing. You know, you drive down the expressway and you see like back bumpers and front noses laying on the side of the road. Did you ever notice you don't see one of these? Any of these body pieces sitting on there? They put these things on, man. I don't know about the back bumper. I'm not messing with the back bumper. But that front nose, that front valance, I mean, that lower valance had like 30 damn screws in it, you know? Bolts. So, and the front clip probably had about a dozen at least. Well, the way I took it off, it had about a dozen. And then, I mean, you got 5, 6 screws or bolts just holding this little piece on the door. And then you got 1, 2, 3. You probably got 20 nuts and bolts and screws and shit holding this bottom piece on each side. So they put them on not to come back off, I'll tell you that much. Which is good, you know. But not when you're trying to take them off. But we're going to get these off today. We're going to get these inner panels off. Well, we got to get these inner panels off. To get those off, we're going to pull the other headlight. And then probably pull the 2 front fenders off, which I got most of the bolts off. I got one in the front, one in the back, and the ones inside the door jamb, you know, the lower one and stuff like that. I still got those to take off, and I got that front bumper support right here. Now to give you an idea, on the other side, that thing was bent almost in a 90. So when I replace the fenders, I'm going to replace that on the other side too. I got it straightened out, but kind of half-assed, just easier just to replace it, you know what I mean? And when we get the fenders off, we'll start prepping the back of the body. I'm going to clean up all this in here. And I'm going to do something with this down here. It's not rotted, but it's got a bunch of surface rust on there. I want to clean that up and get it out of the way. I'm guessing I'm going to pull that stuff on the other side too, because that side's probably the exact same way. I'm not going to detail out the inside the engine compartment. I'll probably end up doing a motor swap on this somewhere down the road. So when I pull that motor out, then I'll detail out the engine compartment. But we are going to have to paint the tops of the fenders, probably the core support. And we're going to have to paint the top of this because the top of the car is going to be silver. So I want it all to match, you know. That way when you open the hood, it don't look as janky. And the same with the back here. We're going to have to paint all this because it's going to be silver up here too, you know what I mean? And then we'll probably break it at the seam right here. I don't know yet. That all gets covered up anyway, but you still want it to be somewhat uniform, you know. It's not a show vehicle, you know what I mean? It's just going to be a nice cruiser. Hopefully it's going to be a nice cruiser. That's the goal, you know. And something that if we wanted to, we could take to, you know, Street Rod Nationals, or, I mean, it's not going to be, you know, like a concourse car. Hell no, you know what I mean? It's going to be a driver. I'm going to drive it damn near every day. Well, every day I go somewhere, you know. And I'll drive it back and forth to the office and stuff like that. Take it to some cruisings, you know. But hopefully it'll be nice, but it's not going to be perfect. I know that going into it, you know. But we got to figure out how to take those off. I don't think those are as big of a deal. I haven't even looked at them. Got to pull these rear mud flaps. And now what I was saying is it's not going to be a show car. I knew that going into it. We do have body work we got to do on the back quarter. But once I take this panel off, I'm going to work this out a little more. And I don't want a lot of Bondo in this thing. I mean, it's a solid car. It'd be stupid. But, I mean, I've glazed, you know, I glazed to do the work on the hood and the roof and a little bit in the back there. You can see it over there. But that's maybe a 64th of an inch thick. You know what I mean? It's just a skim coat. It might not even be that. I don't know how thick it is. But it's what I'm saying is it's not thick. It's just a skim coat. I'd like to keep that on the whole car. You know what I mean? And this here's a little jank. Right now, the way it's sitting, I got some work I got to do on this edge. And then basically up to here and down to here is going to need some type of fill. That's what needs to be straightened out. It's still in right here, and it's still in right here, and it's in probably a 1/4 inch right here. So I got to see if I can get in there and get that out a little more and kind of straighten this, maybe hammer and dolly it a little bit if I can get it in there. And the more you work the metal, the closer you get it, the less fill you got. You know what I mean? And that's the only place that's really going to have anything. So that's a good thing. I mean, underneath of the car, besides all the damn cobwebs right now, I mean, I'd power wash it. There's not a place underneath this car that I wouldn't stick my tongue to. I mean, it's that damn clean. It's as clean as the outside of this. Actually, this probably has more on it. You know what I mean? So we're going to make it as nice as possible. We're going to make it a good driver. But that's where we're at after we take all the trim off. We'll start working the doors in the rear quarter on each side and back bumper and get all this done. And then by this time next week, I'll have the other fenders. We'll prep those, put those on, put the nose. Well, we're going to leave the nose off to paint, but we'll put that on. I don't know if we're putting the hood back on or not. We might paint the hood separately, well, at the same time, but off the car. And same with the nose. And I'm probably going to clean this up a little bit. You don't see it, you know. Well, you kind of, you know, you see this and stuff like that. I might clean this up and clean this up. I'm going to clean it up, but I mean, I might paint it. I don't know. And get moving on this thing. Now the goal is ahead. We're on a, what is it, second week of September right now. I'd like to have this done by Halloween. It just kind of depends on how I get in this garage and get stuff done. You know what I mean? And I can't dedicate every day to coming out here working on this thing. But days I'm out here, I got to make progress in order to get it done in that time. I'd like to have it in epoxy. I'd like to have the new fenders on it and everything in epoxy in the next, by the end of the month. You know? And that gives me, I mean, hell, if I get to that point, that gives me a month to put high build, block sand, and paint it, you know? So, and it's straight, except for a little bit back there, you know what I mean? So it shouldn't be a hard task. There's no fabrication work or anything like that. There's no rust repair. You know, there's just fixing that dent back there, putting the new fenders on, prepping everything, and getting it done and out the damn door. That way when it goes out the door, it's pretty much done. You know, I got a little bit of interior work and stuff like that. I'm going to upgrade some of the suspension down the road and, you know, little stuff like that here and there. But as far as it being a nice, presentable, functional car, that's what it's going to be when it comes out of the car, out of the garage. And then we're going to swap the frame out on that. We got a couple other small things. Now when I put this in epoxy, I'm also going to have the front clip of the Mustang prepped and everything done on that to where I can put that in epoxy at the same time. It just needs to be cleaned up, really. There's one small section that I got to do some fab work on. Nothing big. There's a couple small pinholes I want to take care of on that side skirt right there, right about where my finger's at. And it's not all rotted out. It's just, it must have got a couple little small rust bubbles. The rest of the metal around it's good. I'm going to clean those up and repair those. Maybe put a patch in there. I don't know yet. Get that prepped and cleaned, and that way we can put we'll have it in epoxy, and then we can pour 15 it over the winter or something, or something like pour 15 or pour whatever the hell it is. I think it's pour 15, ain't it? And brain ain't working today, guys. But that's where we're at. I'm gonna get off of here and try to stick a dent in this thing a little more today. All right, guys, this is where we're at. Got a little bit done today, but I'm gonna close out this video after this. I've still got everything on the other side to do. I've got to pull the fender, and I got to pull the lower, yeah, that thing. I got to pull the lower skirt, take the door panel off the door, and gut the door. Well, not gut the door, but I'm taking the door sweeps off of it because they need to be replaced. I'm pulling the mirrors, probably the door handles. I got to get that bumper strip coming off the side, and that way I can get that lower spoiler piece or that lower ground effects piece off the door. But then we'll pull this fender. But I got this fender off. I started cleaning up this area a little bit, and I'm not going to go nuts on it. I think what I'm going to do is I'm probably going to prep it out, paint it, and clean it up. Nothing spectacular, just, you know, get rid of the rust basically. But we've got, I got both the tail lights out, finally. I got the interior panels out on this side. I've got this side, well, I've got the quarter pretty much sanded, and we got some body work we got to do right here. And then we got body work we got to do here, so I'm going to strip this down around like this, kind of about down to there and up here. Matter of fact, you can see it's low right here. So it's not major, but it's still, I want to work this panel and this panel basically at the same time so I get a nice consistency going across. And there's not going to be a lot of filler, but it's going to be the only spot that actually has any, what I'd call significant amount of filler, which I'm still talking 16th, maybe 1/8 inch. You know what I mean? Especially right here, it's probably going to be about 1/8 inch. But everything else is skim. There's no rust on this car. I don't want to load it with Bondo, so I'm actually going to try to finesse this out a little more to where all I got to do is basically skim it. I got to finish getting the clear off the door. I got to gut this door, or like I said, you know, lock, handle, mirror, thread, window sweep. I got to take this out and clean out around there, and we'll start putzing along. I'm hoping I'm going to gut that door, get that lower piece off, and finish prepping this tomorrow, and hopefully get the spoilers and the fender off tomorrow, because tomorrow's Tuesday. Wednesday I'm not going to be here. I got doctor's appointments and crap like that. And Thursday I got to get ready for Redneck Rumble. I got to leave early, like before dawn, a couple hours before dawn, Friday. And I'll be out there Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And then Monday I'm going to come back in here, clean up the shop. Work out here Tuesday and Wednesday, hopefully, and then Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, my daughter and her family's coming up, or coming down, and we're going to the Holly Ford Fest. So I've only, technically in the next 2 weeks, I've got 3, maybe 4 days I can work on this. So I'm trying to push it as much as I can, but it's about 7 o'clock right now, and I'm done. I've been out here since the crack of dawn. But if you want to follow along, please subscribe, hit that notification bell, give us a thumbs up. You know the drill, man. I'd really appreciate it. We appreciate every last one of you guys, and we will see you soon.